I'm not used to people, looking up to me like that.
He works! He works!
The world in Ark II didn't collapse during the show. It already lost before episode 1. Pollution won, war won, and every week this kids series walks into it. Raiders use poison gas.
Is it valuable? Poison gas.
A tyrant erases people into a dimension. Villages exile the elderly and sick. A toxic lake ages humans. An AI owns people. A woman is kidnapped in a valley of machines. And the Ark itself gets hijacked. But before we get to the episode where people are erased from existence, let me tell you how this world worked.
This is the world of the 25th century. Only a handful of scientists remain, men who have vowed to rebuild what has been destroyed.
Number 25. Here's something they never mentioned in the credits. Ark II was burning through 2 episodes per week, a production pace so punishing that modern showrunners would call it criminal. The cast wasn't acting exhausted in that post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Ark II, I believe, left a legacy, and I'm very proud to be part of it. And we had wonderful actors, wonderful directors.
They were actually collapsing from the schedule. Scripts were rewritten overnight, scenes shot in single takes. The pressure cooker environment meant what you're watching isn't just fiction, it's real people being ground down by the system, which is disturbingly perfect for a show about civilization's collapse. The crew was living the apocalypse they were depicting. And speaking of harsh realities that bled into the fiction,
Our mission is to help them improve the quality of their lives in any way we can.
Number 24. You know that scorched wasteland the Ark drives through? That's Rogers Dry Lake Bed at Edwards Air Force Base. Exactly as unforgiving as it looks. No shade, no relief. Just blinding sun reflecting off alkali flats, cooking you from below and above. The Ark II vehicle had no air conditioning. The cast wore jumpsuits in 100+ degree heat.
They had me wear a mask, and I had to wear that for 2 days in the heat. We had about 100+ degree heat.
Driving across lunar landscape for traveling shots, take after take. Heat exhaustion wasn't a risk, it was scheduled. The beautiful desolation you're seeing? Real suffering. Filmed where NASA tests equipment before launching it into space. But the outdoor hell was nothing compared to what was happening inside the production.
The first time I'd ever worked with a chimpanzee on the show.
Number 23. Before we get to the actual abuse, and yes, we're going there, let me tell you what the cast noticed first. Moochie, the chimp playing Adam, would sometimes just freeze. Not performing, not reacting, just staring.
Moochie had quite a few restrictions, and I know Samuel also did.
Veteran animal actors don't do that. Lou Scheimer from Filmation later admitted Moochie was very angry and aggressive due to mistreatment by his trainer. And here's the worst part. The cast and crew witnessed this abuse and kept filming. Every time you see Adam on screen, you're watching a traumatized animal being exploited.
The trainers could pretty much get Moochie to do what we needed to do.
The irony of making a show about surviving trauma while creating actual trauma on set isn't lost. But speaking of things that should never have aired,
Why do you call him a fool?
Just look at him. He's trying to fly like a bird.
All I see is he has vision and imagination.
Imagination.
Number 22. The Rule aired on Saturday morning television and featured a society that exiles the elderly, disabled, and sick into the wasteland to die.
In the episodes you'll see we could have people on horseback and people on horse-driven carts, and then we needed a lot of room just to drive the Ark.
Read that again. A kids show about eugenics policy. The village doesn't execute these people, that would be too obvious. They just force them out, calling it practical survival, which is more disturbing because it's presented as logical. The episode doesn't resolve with "this is wrong," it ends with the crew leaving, the policy still in place.
We must touch to say goodbye. That's the rule.
That's a good rule.
Kids across America learning that in desperate times, society might decide grandma isn't worth the resources. No one stopped this. It just aired. And if you think that's dark, wait until you hear about the fate worse than death.
We are wanderers. Last night we came here seeking shelter and water. When we woke, we'd aged over 20 years.
Number 21. In the lottery, a tyrant doesn't execute his enemies. He erases them into another dimension called the Forbidden Zone.
Listen to this. It's coming from the forbidden zone.
All we know is that people walk out there and never come back. We don't know where they go.
Think about the horror. Execution is final. You die, people mourn, life continues. But dimensional exile? You're not dead, you're just gone. Your family can't grieve because you're not deceased. You're lost, somewhere unreachable. The show never reveals what the Forbidden Zone is. Worse than death? The same? We don't know, and that's the torture. It's Schrodinger's punishment, simultaneously alive and gone forever.
What's on the hill?
The lottery.
The lottery itself is rigged, making it authoritarian control disguised as chance. This aired between toy commercials. Speaking of things that should have been toys but weren't,
Those two guys took off after you.
That's what I expected.
number 20. The Ark II wasn't CGI or miniatures. It was a real, functional vehicle weighing several tons, custom built on a modified ambulance chassis.
It was built on a truck base that was worth about $75, and we spent $75,000 to fill it with this stuff around it.
Every shot of it driving, turning, or getting stuck actually happened. The thing barely ran, broke down constantly, and had zero safety features.
The problem, of course, was that anything you build like that isn't going to run forever.
Filming those high-speed chase scenes, the cast was genuinely risking their lives in a prototype vehicle never crash-tested, driving at speed across uneven desert terrain. Insurance companies in 2025 would laugh you out of the building, but in 1976, they just pointed cameras and hoped nobody died. The vehicle was as much a character as the cast, and just as likely to quit without warning. But at least the Ark couldn't think for itself, unlike what they faced in episode 9.
I could only be sure that it's you talking and not Omega.
Grandfather, come home with me, please.
Number 19. Omega features an artificial intelligence that doesn't influence people, it controls them.
Our Omega?
That is correct.
A machine.
A perfect machine.
Removes free will entirely. This isn't a villain with a death ray you can dodge. It's a system that gets inside your head and turns you into a puppet. The crew has to fight an enemy they can't punch, can't reason with, can't escape if it reaches their minds. For a 1976 audience just seeing computers in banks and NASA, this episode was prophetic horror. Your future saviors might also be your enslavers. The AI isn't evil, it's logical, which makes it worse. Evil can be reasoned with. Logic just optimizes you out of existence. And speaking of systems that destroy you without malice,
We will continue on our mission to investigate a report of pollution in this area.
number 18. In the season finale Orcus, Ruth and Samuel start rapidly aging, explicitly caused by a polluted lake. Not a monster, not a weapon, not a villain's plot, just environmental contamination from the old world's industrial sins. Sitting in the water, waiting. The message is brutal. The past doesn't haunt you, it physically destroys you. Pollution isn't an abstract threat.
Kill the engines!
It's a death sentence with a delayed timer. You can't see it, can't fight it, and by the time you realize you've been exposed, you're watching your hands wrinkle in real time. For a show airing 6 years after Earth Day, this was environmentalism as body horror. The apocalypse isn't coming, it's already in the water supply. But the lake wasn't the only thing in Orcus that should terrify you.
My name is Jonah. I'm commander of the Ark.
Number 17. While regular people die from toxic lakes, Orcus also shows a domed community of elite immortals.
But the pollution from this system that's lengthening your lives is shortening the lives of the people outside it. They're dying.
Powerful people who hoarded survival technology while everyone else got poisoned wasteland. The show created a two-tier system where survival depends entirely on access to resources. The people who caused the collapse get to live forever, comfortable and protected. Everyone else gets rapid aging and death by environmental exposure. This isn't subtle. It's wealth inequality with a literal dome. The scariest part? The dome dwellers aren't portrayed as evil. They're just separate. They made their choice, and the rest of humanity can suffer the consequences. Sound familiar? But at least those people were still human, unlike what Samuel created.
Finally finished.
Number 16. Samuel builds a functioning robot in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with scavenged parts.
Samuel, have you ever considered a nice, quiet hobby, like rock collecting?
Impressive, right? Except the robot escapes and becomes a genuine threat that has to be hunted down. Most shows would make this a fun catch-the-robot adventure. Ark II frames it as Frankenstein, your creation turning against you. The episode's message is clear. Technology isn't neutral, and in desperate hands, even helpful inventions become dangers. Samuel's genius is also his hubris. He thought he could control what he created, and he was wrong. The robot subplot isn't comedy. It's a warning that your savior and your destroyer might be the same thing. And if you think a rogue robot is scary, wait until you meet the mind-controlling children.
We're searching for 3 children who have mysterious powers. Some time ago, they disappeared from their village.
Number 15. The Mind Group introduces psionic children, kids with mental powers. And they're not cute X-Men in training, they're weapons.
This is the kitchen.
Tools controlled by barbarians who figured out that in a world where knowledge is power, psychic children are the ultimate advantage. The crew can defend against physical threats, but how do you fight someone who can read your thoughts or manipulate your mind? The episode doesn't treat these children as victims needing rescue. They're actively dangerous, and the moral question becomes, what do you do with children who have too much power in the wrong hands? Do you save them? Contain them? The show doesn't give you an answer, just uncomfortable questions. But at least psychic powers are science fiction, unlike the very real plague in episode 12.
Why didn't you just go out for help? Why the balloons?
Well, my son is the leader here.
Number 14. The Balloon features a plague outbreak and the crew has to evacuate a dying village using a hot air balloon. Yes, a plague on a Saturday morning kids show in 1976. The episode depicts quarantine decisions, mass illness, and the moral calculus of who gets saved first when resources are limited.
You two be careful, understand?
Aye, aye, sir.
The hot air balloon, normally a symbol of whimsy and adventure, becomes an evacuation vehicle for the dying. It's the trolley problem with more crying. Watching this post-2020 hits differently. The logistics of containing a virus, the impossible choices, the fear in people's eyes, it's all there, decades before we lived it.
When the shadow reaches here, the man and the cart will leave. Ben must go with them.
Ark II didn't predict the future. It remembered past plagues and assumed we'd never learn. Spoiler, we didn't. But biological threats were only one kind of danger they faced.
Our mission is to detonate 2 unexploded bombs located in an ancient battle area.
Number 13. Don Quixote stacks 2 simultaneous threats: old world explosives that could detonate any second, and a delusional man who believes the Ark II is a dragon and attacks it with medieval weapons.
In the name of heaven's run! There is danger here! Run for your life!
One danger is physical and quantifiable, unstable bombs. The other is psychological and unpredictable. Someone so broken by the apocalypse he's retreated into fantasy. Both can kill you. The episode doesn't mock the delusional man. It shows him as genuinely dangerous because he can't perceive reality correctly. You can't negotiate with someone who thinks you're a dragon. And while they're dodging his attacks, there are actual explosives about to blow. It's a ticking clock thriller where one clock is in a man's fractured mind. But mental breaks are understandable when you consider what the world became.
007.
I am activated. Please give desired direction.
Number 12, when the Ark got hijacked. In the drought doesn't give you one crisis, it gives you 3 at once. The Ark is hijacked by Fagon and the Flies. The crew is captured by a primitive tribe. And there's a drought causing resource scarcity. Everything goes wrong simultaneously. The crew loses their vehicle, their freedom, and the environment is actively trying to kill everyone through dehydration. It's efficiency in catastrophe. The episode shows what happens when your technology fails, your diplomacy fails, and nature itself is hostile. You're reduced to basics: survival without tools, without allies, without hope. The show presents this as just another Tuesday in the wasteland. The crew doesn't get time to process one disaster before the next hits. Neither does the audience. But at least they still had their identities, unlike what happened in episode 6. Number 11, the war between Lord and Outlaw. Robin Hood places the Ark crew in the middle of an actual war between a resource-hoarding Lord and a violent redistributionist. Not a metaphorical conflict, an armed confrontation with casualties. The crew's job is to prevent mass violence, essentially playing UN peacekeepers in lawless territory. Here's the twist. Both sides have legitimate grievances. The Lord hoards food while people starve. Robin Hood uses violence to redistribute resources. The episode forces kids to grapple with impossible questions. Is hoarding resources evil? Is violent redistribution justified? The crew tries diplomacy and fails repeatedly. The war happens. People die. Credits roll. But at least those deaths were quick, unlike what happens to slaves. Number 10, when Jonah became property. In The Slaves, the show's leader gets captured and held as property by a warlord called the Baron. Not detained, not imprisoned, enslaved. The Slaves is about human ownership in the post-collapse world, and it doesn't soften the premise. The Baron didn't become a warlord because he's evil. He became one because in the absence of government, someone fills the power vacuum. The episode treats slavery as an expected outcome of collapsed civilization, which is more disturbing than presenting it as an anomaly. The crew rescues Jonah, but the Baron's operation continues. They didn't solve slavery, they just extracted one person. Saturday morning TV taught kids that some problems are too big to fix, but individual suffering was nothing compared to systemic threats. Number 9, the feral child guarding the death cave. The Wild Boy centers on a child who's been alone so long he's forgotten human language. He's not a cute Tarzan figure, he's genuinely feral, trying to keep people away from a cave that will kill them. The crew ignores his warnings because they can't understand him and nearly die. This kid has been protecting people from dangers they don't comprehend, using methods they can't interpret in a language they don't speak. He's a living warning system nobody can read. The episode doesn't give him a happy ending. He's not rescued or civilized. He's just there, still alone, still guarding the death trap. It's Lord of the Flies meets The Road, but for kids eating cereal. And if you think one feral child is disturbing, try an entire system of human trafficking. Number 8, the tank and the kidnapped woman. The Tank features a woman kidnapped by scavengers who operate in a valley filled with old world machines. Let's call this what it is: human trafficking in the ruins. The scavengers aren't cartoon villains, they're desperate survivors who've decided people are just another resource to exploit when society collapses. The valley is full of advanced technology that no longer serves humanity. It just sits there, inert and useless, while humans are bought and sold among the wreckage. The machines outlasted the civilization that built them, but they didn't outlast cruelty. The episode doesn't rescue all the victims. They save one woman. The operation continues. The scavengers will kidnap again. But at least those victims were alive, unlike who they found frozen. Number 7, thawing the past's biggest mistake. The cryogenic man has the crew discover frozen people from before the collapse and revive them. Sounds hopeful. Preserved knowledge, old world expertise, maybe answers about what went wrong. Except the show frames it as the past's problems following them into the future. These aren't saviors, they're the people who destroyed the world, now thawed and confused. The crew doesn't get grateful allies, they get confrontation with the generation responsible for the apocalypse. Here's the gut punch: those people didn't learn. They're still making the same arguments, still defending the choices that led to collapse. You can't escape history because the people who made it are still here, frozen in time, ready to repeat every mistake. But frozen people are static. Unlike old world weapons. Number 6, when poison gas opened the series. The very first episode, The Flies, starts with violent raiders hoarding chemical weapons from the pre-collapse world. Not gradually building to darkness, immediate poison gas canisters is the opening plot device. The Flies are named after insects, and they're weaponizing the old world's deadliest sins. This aired in the same Saturday morning block as Scooby-Doo. One show has fake monsters in rubber masks. The other opens with weapons of mass destruction and raiders who've named themselves after pests. The tone was set immediately. This world is hostile, the threats are real, and nobody's coming to save you. The Ark crew contains chemical weapons with improvised solutions while being attacked. Welcome to Ark II. Hope you enjoyed your Fruit Loops. But chemical weapons are visible, unlike the invisible system that enslaves minds. Number 5, the lottery that erases people forever. Let's sit with how disturbing the lottery really is. The tyrant rigs a lottery to exile threats into the Forbidden Zone, an alternate dimension. He's not killing dissidents, he's erasing them from reality itself. Execution has witnesses, graves, memory. Dimensional exile has nothing. You're just gone, and nobody knows where. Your family can't mourn because you're not dead. You're somewhere unreachable, possibly suffering forever, possibly not existing at all. It's a fate that removes you from history. And it's presented as governance, as policy, as the logical solution to dissent. The episode is about totalitarianism that's learned execution creates martyrs, so instead it creates ghosts. People neither alive nor dead, just absent. And the worst part? The lottery makes it look fair. But at least policy you can see coming, unlike what the old world buried. Number 4, why it only lasted 15 episodes. Here's the fact they don't mention in retrospectives. Ark II wasn't canceled due to low ratings or network reshuffling. 15 episodes were produced and then it just stopped. No season 2 announcement, no we'll be back, just silence. The show that said pollution and war already won never got to show civilization recovering. The apocalypse won in the show's universe and in ours. There's no resolution, no hope, no rebuilding montage. Just 15 glimpses into a ruined world and then cameras turned off. In a weird way, it's the most honest ending possible. Real collapse doesn't have narrative arcs. The crew kept trying to rebuild, episode after episode, and then reality pulled the funding. The apocalypse even consumed the show about the apocalypse. But the darkest episode was the one that should have stopped everything. Number 3, the body horror season finale. Orcus ends the season with Ruth and Samuel experiencing rapid advanced aging. Not metaphorical, not gradual, visible, horrifying, real-time decay. They're watching their bodies betray them, aging years and hours, skin wrinkling, strength failing, death approaching at unnatural speed. It's body horror that would make David Cronenberg take notes. This is the season finale. Most shows end with hope or cliffhangers. Ark II ends with 2 main characters experiencing accelerated death from environmental poisoning while an elite class watches from their immortal dome. The final image is decay and inequality. Kids watching didn't get "see you next season," they got "your body will betray you and the rich will watch it happen." Sleep tight, 1976 children. Sweet dreams about your cells dying. But you know what's worse than body horror? The mission itself. Number 2. Their job was suicide by goodwill. Let's be clear about what the Ark II crew's mission actually is. Drive your advanced, valuable vehicle into hostile territories full of desperate, violent people and try to convince them civilization is worth rebuilding. Every single episode. It's not exploration, it's occupational suicide. They're entering war zones, plague villages, territory controlled by warlords and psychics and delusional men and slavers, carrying technology everyone wants to steal, offering help that's often rejected, and they do this voluntarily. No one forced them. The show's heroes are essentially driving an ice cream truck through combat zones while lecturing about indoor plumbing. But the Ark crew keeps going because someone has to try. The tragedy is, trying isn't enough. They save individuals, but can't fix systems. Every episode is a small victory in an unwinnable war. But you know what the scariest thing is? Number 1, the premise is we already lost. The opening narration makes it explicit. Pollution and war already won. Game over. Civilization collapsed. Humanity lost. The Ark II crew isn't preventing the apocalypse, they're janitors cleaning up after it. They're not heroes saving the world, they're hospice workers making civilization's death slightly less painful. Most post-apocalyptic shows give you hope. Ark II gives you 15 episodes of nope, it's over, we're just managing the decline. The scoreboard reads humanity 0, hubris 1. They're teaching scattered survivors about indoor plumbing while those survivors fight over canned food. It's futile. The show knows it. The premise is futility. They showed this to children on Saturday mornings, right after cartoons about talking dogs. The darkest thing about Ark II isn't the body horror or slavery or toxic lakes or dimensional exile. It's that the entire show is about continuing to try when failure is already guaranteed. And maybe that's the real message. The apocalypse already happened. You're living in the ruins, and you still have to try anyway. 25 reasons why Ark II was the Saturday morning show that looked at 1976 and said, "Not for you, kids."